evening. Good evening. Come on in. It's time for WealthyU Wind Down. So, who's here with us this evening? Put your comments in the chat. I'm really excited about our conversation this evening. And if you're just joining us, I want to give you a shout out. So, let me know where you hail from. Let me know if this is your first time joining us. Perhaps you just joined the community because you're excited about our upcoming challenge. But whatever it is, I want to know who you are and make sure that you give us permission on our platform to show your name. So give us access so that we can get you engaged in this conversation. Post your comments so that we can see in the recording. So come in. So it's WealthyU Wind Down. Good evening. I'm Deborah Owens, and I am America's Wealth Coach, also known as also founder of WealthyU, where we teach women how to build their first investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond. Come on in because this is going to be a great conversation. So let's see who's hanging out with us this evening. So I see Sandra Ellis Tucker is with us. Welcome, Sandra. We're glad you're here. Valerie McCall. Let me know where you're from so I can shout out because we have women joining us from WealthyU for WealthyU Wind Down all over the country. In fact, all over the world. So we want to give you a shout out. I see we have a number of our WealthyU Society members. That's our 12-month program where women are going through and they're digging into their finances and learning how to accelerate their financial growth. So we've got Joanne Brooks from Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, girl, hey. And let's see, we've got Sharon Joan Hayes in the house with us. Bridget Rocket, one of our WealthyU Society members. Virginia Rutherford Hall, of course, one of our WealthyU ambassadors. We have Sandra Ellis Tucker again. Okay, Kansas City, Missouri. So Sandra is letting us know where she hails from. So come on in, get in here, because tonight, this is where we talk about wealth and where we, guess what? We grab our favorite glass of vino and we share, a little way to wind down, if you will. And tonight I am drinking a Cabernet. So let me give you all a toast. And let's get this party started. So come on in. What do you think our conversation is about this evening? So I want to really set the stage for you. You know, each week we come on and we talk about a variety of topics. And those topics are really designed to, talk about what's going on. Sometimes we talk about wealth. Sometimes we talk about health because WealthyU is a financial wellness company. So we're looking at 360 degrees of women and how they can become their best and live their best life, all with the goal of helping you accelerate your financial growth so that you can achieve financial independence at any age, live abundancy with the goal of creating legacy wealth. And legacy wealth really is the ability to not only think about, how you're going to create a life for yourself, but also for generations to come. And so we really focus on the 7 wealthy habits of financially successful women. And what I really want to dig a little deeper into tonight is one of those habits. So how many of you have been watching the stock market, and have you seen the volatility in the comments? Let me know. Have you been watching the stock market? It's been up, it's been down. And what we've really seen in the past week or so is some really wild swings. How many of you have been watching the market in the comments? Tell me, have you been watching the stock market? Well, one of the tenets of our community really is adopting wealthy habits. And one of those habits is really the having a wealth mindset, and that's the ability to view problems as opportunities, because that's what financially successful women do. And so, to that end, viewing problems as opportunities really means that you've got to be able to keep your wits about you. So let me just take you back. In fact, I was having a conversation with one of our WealthyU members, and we were talking about her back in last March. How many of you remember last March when the market went down because of COVID? And I mean, that market went down more than 30%. And, we were really chatting about, like, she hung in there, practiced the wealthy habits. How many of you remember that, right? And she says, and we were talking about, well, think about it now. Now we're having volatility. Imagine you would have responded incorrectly and, gotten afraid and come out of the market. And now what we've seen is the market reached new heights, broke new records. Yes, we are having some volatility now, but what that requires really is for you to have your wits about you. And in fact, wealthy women view things differently. And when the market goes down, in the chat, tell me, when the market goes down, how do you respond to that? Right? How do most people respond? Most people get fearful, right? But how do financially successful, or what does it mean to have that wealth mindset? What it means is that you're able to take a long-term view. And that's right. One of our Facebook members says you buy, right? But that sounds good in theory. But the reason that you're able to practice that habit is because you understand that you cannot let your emotions drive your decision. And so that's right. Somebody said, stay the course. That's right. That's right. So if that is true, then what that requires is for us to be mindful. And so the reason I'm excited this evening, because that's exactly what our topic is about. It's about how you adopt a wealthy mindset and understanding mindfulness. And so I'm really excited to introduce my guest this evening, because not only is she a pediatrician, a medical doctor, she has a passion for encouraging people to live well through being more present to the moments of their lives. She also has a practice on mindfulness. She has a certification in the practice of mindfulness. But not only is she certified in mindfulness, but she's also a dear friend of mine for over 20 years. We are sisters in Christ. And I'm so excited to invite her to the stage this evening. Heather Alexander, MD, thank you so much for coming on with us this evening. So Heather, good evening and welcome to WealthyU Wind Down.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm very thankful and grateful to the WealthyU audience for your attention. I'm excited to be able to share a little bit about mindfulness with the WealthyU community.
Excellent. So let's talk about, I want to begin, what is mindfulness, right? Like I think when I think of mindfulness, I think about the practice of meditation. I think about prayer. If you were to describe or define mindfulness, how would you describe it for our audience?
Yes, mindfulness is something that you hear an awful lot about lately. It's almost kind of like a buzzword. And yes, the question is, what is mindfulness? And you've touched a little bit on it. Mindfulness basically is just paying attention to what we are experiencing in the moments of our lives. And the key is in the type of attention, the type of awareness that we bring to our experiences. And that quality is it's non-judgmental and it's with kindness and compassion. And those are key in terms of seeing the benefits of practicing mindfulness is that non-judgmental quality, the kindness and compassion that are key.
So would you say then that practicing mindfulness really is the ability to look at things from a perspective of would it, I think I don't want to call it not emotion, but really experiencing the things that that are happening to you before you respond to it in any kind of way.
Yes, this is key. Saying what you were just explaining about the response, or really calling it a reaction, because we are so ingrained in habits that we have, patterns that we have that are often automatic that we don't even realize. And practicing mindfulness gives us the opportunity to slow down and to be able to pause and really be able to choose our response instead of reacting automatically. Deb, when you were talking in the introduction about just the volatility of, the stock market, you can kind of apply that to other areas of our lives too. Volatility, that comes up, the changes, the ups and downs, the swings, the emotions that we encounter, not just in the stock market, but, in the rest of our lives. And practicing mindfulness helps us to develop a sense of equanimity with what is going on. We're able to be with difficult emotions such as fear that you mentioned without being overwhelmed by it. And that's a powerful thing. I really think the power in mindfulness comes from being able to find that space to pause and choose our response to our experiences.
I love it. And again, if you're just joining us, this is WealthyU Wind Down, and my guest this evening is Dr. Heather Alexander. She also has certification, is a certified mindfulness instructor, and she has her own practice, LiveWellMindfully, and I'm so excited to have her here this evening because I feel like so much of, not only as it relates, and I'm glad you took it out of just the investment realm and, talked about how this practice can help us in all areas of our lives, Heather. But what I would say, I feel like that this whole social media realm, I was just talking about that earlier today, and how it has really caused us to be reactionary, like so much of the things that we see, not only on social media, but just in media, whether it be TV or radio or online or Facebook. So much of it is about getting us to react. And so I really feel like there have been, because you are also a physician, that health-wise, that we're impacted by all of the kind of negative media that we are consuming. And so talk to us a little bit about how mindfulness can help us to cope just in our everyday lives.
Yes, I would love to address that. So let me share a little bit too about what led me to mindfulness. As Deb mentioned, I'm a pediatrician. I've been practicing for over 25 years, and I love what I do. What led me to want to be able to teach mindfulness is wanting to be able to have something to offer to address the great deal of stress and anxiety that I encounter in my patients, in their families, and in the world around me. And I first learned about formal mindfulness practice was through a course that was actually offered through my doctor's office, a mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR course. And as Deb mentioned, I am trained to teach this course, the MBSR course. I'm actually a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction instructor. But through taking this course, what I learned really resonated with me. I really felt that it was something that I wanted to learn, not just for myself, but to be able to offer and to share with others. So imagine being more present to your life. Being more present to yourself, to those around you. Imagine being able to be with difficult emotions without being overwhelmed by them, as I mentioned. Imagine finding the space to pause before reacting. Imagine being able to offer yourself more kindness and compassion. And imagine bringing a sense of curiosity and wonder. And appreciation to life. So there are many benefits to practicing mindfulness. And there are over 35 years of research showing the benefits of mindfulness in many areas, such as ADHD, anxiety, depression, dealing with chronic pain, and even improving immune function. And the wonderful thing is that mindfulness is an innate ability that we all have. It's almost like it's something that we've forgotten. As Deb was mentioning, I mean, we're bombarded all the time on so many different devices, on different social media, channels. We tend to check in with our cell phones more often than we do with ourselves. And mindfulness really helps us to take the time to check in with ourselves. And Deb, if it's okay with you, I thought it would be nice for the audience, for the WealthyU community, to experience just a centering practice.
Yes, teach us, dear Heather. Yes,
Okay.
yes. So in the chat, if you want to, I want to get some comments though. So tell me in the chat, do you want to actually learn how to practice this and how to integrate it into your life? In the comments, please let me know. Yes, let's give, if you want to learn how to center yourself, let us see some comments in the chat. So Michelle says yes, yes. Lakita Norwood says yes. Karen Parham says yes. Oh, Diane Dawson says yes. Yes, because I tell you, Heather, I feel like if we have the right tools, right, that then we can cope better, right? Like we can become our best selves because we have the tools to do this. So here you have it. So teach us how to center ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, this is just a simple centering practice that I like to start off my retreats and workshops and classes with, because we're coming from all different places, from work, whatever our days have been like. It's nice to kind of just arrive where you are, and just acknowledging all that it's taken to get us to this moment, and then kind of just putting it aside for the moment and just centering. Just coming to stillness. So just notice where you are, coming to a comfortable, upright, seated position. And just feel the support underneath you. Feel the chair underneath you. Feel the floor underneath your feet, if that's where your feet are. Notice your surroundings. Notice the screen in front of you. And then allowing your gaze to just fall towards the floor, or your eyes to close if you feel comfortable. And just notice the position of your head. Just notice where your head is. Oftentimes it's forward all the time. We're leaning forward because we're so anxious to see what's going to happen next. And if that's the case for you, just noticing that, it's okay, no judgment. Just allow your head to gently center over your spine. And then just notice the position of your shoulders. Perhaps they're curled forward. And if that's the case, just opening them up, opening your chest and your heart. allowing your arms to just gently rest at your sides. Your hands can rest in your lap or wherever they're naturally just falling. Just coming to stillness. Lifting the crown of your head to the ceiling. And what you may notice is that you just exhale. You may not even have realized that you've been holding your breath. And see if it's possible to just rest in your body as it is right now, really feeling it. Just let your attention drift through your body right now. Noticing without judging what's happening in your body. Tightness or tension, aches or pains. And notice if you are already aware of where stress lives in your body. And if it's okay for you, just letting your awareness go there without needing to do anything or change anything. Just noticing what's there and that part of your body that stores stress. And if it's possible for you, just offering some kindness there, perhaps just breathing into that area. And then just coming to our senses, being aware of what we are sensing. Feeling your feet on the floor, the chair underneath you, the position of the body, the weight of the head, the temperature of the air, any aromas or sounds, tastes, perhaps from dinner or your last sip of wine. Just noticing what there is to sense in this moment. Just being here, nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. Just seeing what's here for you in this moment, the only moment available. And then just taking a moment to notice the breath. Notice the breath as it comes and as it goes. And noticing that when you shift your attention to the breath, there may be an inclination to control it in some way. And that's okay. Just being aware of that, just notice it. Just notice that that's what's happening. And just for a moment, watch the breath as it goes in and as it goes out. And just notice how it goes there, bringing a sense of curiosity to this breath, this thing that we do all the time without thinking about. Maybe it's fast or slow, smooth or edgy. Just noticing what there is to be aware of in your breathing, watching yourself being breathed. And seeing if for you, you can notice where you feel the breath most vividly. It may be at the nostrils, in the back of the throat, perhaps in the rise and the fall of the chest and the abdomen. Just noticing where you notice the breathing most vividly. It's feeling supported, watching yourself being breathed. Noticing this breath that has never happened before and will never happen again. And then just taking a deep breath in and letting it out. Gently allowing your eyes to open again if they were closed. And then just taking in the room around you again, the screen. And just noticing, taking a moment to notice how that was for you. Maybe you became aware of something that you hadn't been aware of before. Perhaps it was a thought, a feeling, a discomfort. Paying attention gives us valuable information. It gives us valuable information that we can use to live better in all areas of our lives. And it really is a gift to ourselves to be able to center and to check in.
Wow, that was so lovely, Heather. I mean, it felt like it was a long time, but it really wasn't a long time. So let me know, ladies, how did that make you feel? So let me just go through some of the comments. Someone said, add years to your life through this. Uh, June Edmonds says, integration, yes. Teresa Savelle says, yes, yes, it's a blessing. Miss Deb brought this to us. Bridget says, relaxed and peaceful and relaxed. Now, Heather, what I would say is that there's such a sense of peace and calm that can overtake you. I mean, Lakita says, I felt such a peace. I'm a huge advocate of mindfulness. I just launched a mindfulness and emotional intelligence business resource group for a healthcare system. So yes, yes, we'll have to connect you
Oh,
with
yes,
Heather as
absolutely. I would
well.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tamiko says, exhilarating for me, a sense of peace, a calming effect. So let's talk about this, Heather, because I think in all areas of our life, the reason why I feel like it's so important when it comes to investing and wealth building is that there's such a sense of fear, right? A fear of loss, a fear because I feel like the fear when it comes to investing is directly correlated to the lack of knowledge. And in addition to that, there is also what I find is that people feel like the topic can be so complex. And so then there is another level of fear, even then. And so for our community, specifically, as they are on their journey and they're being introduced to all these different concepts that they may not have a lot of confidence around, how would you suggest bringing mindfulness into their practice as it relates to enhancing their ability to feel calm around this topic and engage in the information, because anything that we don't, anything we fear, will procrastinate with. And so, how would you use this as a way of overcoming those fears and really gaining a sense of confidence around, just your journey to wealth?
Yes. Now, what I would say to that is it's so important to be aware of what we are feeling.
Mm.
So recognizing and naming, okay, the fear. And there's certain emotions that we tend to push away that, because they're uncomfortable, fear, anger, sadness. But with mindfulness, we learn to have that sense of equanimity towards these things. Like, yes, there is fear here. I recognize that. I can turn towards it instead of necessarily turning away from it. And these are things that happen over time with practice, with the mindfulness practices. It's not something that it's just like, okay, yeah, I read about mindfulness and now, yes, I'm going to go ahead and everything's going to be fine. With mindfulness, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to feel relaxed. Yes, it's common during a lot of the practices, like the centering practice that we did just now, to feel calm, but sometimes we're just not calm, and we can't make ourselves be calm. But being okay with that is key. Like recognizing, what, this is difficult, this is hard, acknowledging that, and then showing, yourself that kindness, the same kindness and compassion that you would give to a child who came to you who was in tears or afraid, offering that towards ourselves, because we are often our own worst critics, and we judge ourselves all the time. And so there might be a sense, with the financial challenges that, well, I should know this. How come I don't know this? Or I can't do this. This is too much for me. I just can't, I'll never learn how to do that. So we have to be also aware of how we're speaking to ourselves. And being aware of the patterns of reacting. I mean, Deb, one of the things I love about what you do is that you teach us to look at our habits and our patterns of behavior and thinking as it relates to money and investing. And that is so key. You help us to identify the unhealthy habits we have, the habits that are not wealthy habits. And that's empowering and being able to identify that. So mindfulness helps us to be aware of the patterns that we have that we often aren't even aware of. They're kind of automatic. Mindfulness helps us with autopilot. Okay. When you think about autopilot, and I'd like the audience to kind of just think about that for a minute. What comes to mind when you are thinking about autopilot? A classic example is, hey, you get in your car, you're headed to work or to the store, and next thing you know, you're there, right? You have no idea how you got there. You don't remember getting off on the exit. You don't remember what you passed along the way. You have just arrived. The same thing happens, not just physically, but it happens emotionally as well. All of a sudden, maybe you're looking at your checkbook or something, or your bank account, and there's a fear there, or you're tense, and it didn't just happen. There's a series of thoughts, a series of beliefs that led you there. So, the awareness, we take time to really look and see, oh, well, what's going on? What led to that point? So in figuring out the patterns, the roads we tend to go down, we can decide, well, do I really want to go that way? Maybe I want to try a different route that might have different results, different scenery, different outcomes. And, in this awareness arises that choice. And that keeps coming up, and what I say and in what you were mentioning is that, in this awareness, this allows the freedom to choose. We get to choose. We don't have to be dragged wherever our automatic patterns take us. We can pause and then just, okay, take a step back and see the bigger picture, see, the long-term view, as you mentioned. This is so key and so much, not just financially, but also in the other areas of our lives.
Well, and let me just let folks know, if you're just joining us, perhaps you're tuning in on a number of different platforms that we are streaming on. I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder and CEO of WealthyU, also known as America's Wealth Coach. And this is WealthyU Wind Down. And this is where we come together. We talk about different topics relating to financial wellness, really. And so this evening, I'm really excited because we're having a conversation with Dr. Heather Alexander. She's a pediatrician, but also an instructor of, and what is the technical term for you're an instructor of mindfulness?
So you could just simply say I'm a mindfulness instructor, but
okay.
Mindfulness-based stress reduction is the training that I've had, and I am considered a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction instructor, or MBSR instructor.
I love that. Because, and again, if you want to learn more about WealthyU, you can go to wealthyu.com or join us in our WealthyU community on Facebook. And I also want to give a shout out to all of our folks who've just joined our 5-day Saving Money Makeover, which is just about to launch, and welcome you. And, just know that you have all kinds of support, and we're so excited that you're here. And, Heather, as you were talking, I was really thinking about one of the most significant emotions around money that can be such an obstacle and a hurdle around gaining confidence and competence. And I think of shame, right? And so that emotion, shame, comes up from all different areas of our life. Maybe we didn't come from a background, maybe we made some money mistakes. How can we use mindfulness to kind of counter that emotion specifically?
So when encountering a difficult emotion, as I mentioned, identifying it, naming it, and trying not to identify with the emotion. So, and language can be very important here. So instead of saying I'm afraid, you could say there is fear here, or there is shame. There is shame here. So it's not like you're making it a personal thing that this is me. You can kind of sort of have take a step back from it, and then looking at whatever the emotion is that you're experiencing, sitting with it if you can, because sometimes the emotions are intense and it's really hard to be able to just kind of sit with it. And sometimes, depending on the emotion and what your experience is, really seeking the help, the support of a therapist, a trained therapist is needed, especially for people who might have experienced trauma. But sitting with the emotion, turning towards it, and then asking what is needed here. Like, what is it? What is the belief? Because sometimes with sitting with these things, you can figure out what the underlying belief is. It could be something that you were told as a child. You're not good enough, or I can't do this. I'm stupid. I could never, something that somebody has told you. And then when you identify that, you can change the language, and you can tell yourself what you need in terms of, you're okay. It's all right. It's okay to be afraid, or this is what's happening. This is why you feel this way. I mean, you can even do physical gestures, like putting your hand over your heart and saying, I know, I understand. Or even physically giving yourself a hug. There are lots of things.
You know what's so interesting about this? I think the most profound thing that aha moment that I've had this evening is just about the ability to show the same kind of compassion for others, for yourself as you would others. And Carolyn Brooks Collins said something really wonderful. And she says, awareness allows the freedom to choose great approach about life as a whole. And I so concur with that. As you think about mindfulness and stress reduction, the concept that I really come away with from this evening is not only what Carolyn said as it relates to mindfulness, being aware of it, but acknowledging it and naming it is the not step. So it's yes, first we have to be aware. I always say you cannot change what you will not acknowledge, right? So that awareness of it, and then the naming of it, right? And being able to see it as something out. It's not who you are, right? It is a feeling, an emotion, and naming that emotion is the way that you break free. You experience freedom from it.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, there is a mindfulness practice, and I go into this in more detail in my courses and workshops, but I'll just give.
And by the way, I wish you would talk to us a little bit about, before you go into that. I would be remiss. I know we've probably got about a few more minutes into the program, but I'd love for you to share. You always have. How can our members find out about your courses?
So,
excellent. So Deprina's put it in the chat, by the way, in the comments.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, Deprina. So I have a website. It's LiveWellMindfully.com that I see here displayed. So you can always go on my website. You can go on the events page and look up what's coming up. You can sign up for my mailing list also on my website. I do have an upcoming course. It's a 5-week course. And one of the other benefits that I found from practicing mindfulness is actually helping me to be more aware of God's presence in my life. So in this particular course, I do bring that into it. And the title of the course is Be Still and Know: Mindfulness, Stress Reduction, and Awareness of God's Presence. And it's a virtual course. It meets Tuesday the 28th, which is this coming Tuesday is the first meeting. It's via Zoom from 6:30 to 8:30. And I have extended the registration deadline. If any of the WealthyU community is interested in signing up, I've extended the deadline until this Friday, and actually also have offered a discounted registration. So you can, I guess Deprina will put the link to that somewhere. So you guys, if you're interested in learning more about that course and signing up, you can do that. But you can also go on my website and sign up for my mailing list so that you can be informed of future events that'll be coming up. And I'll save the acronym then, Deb, since it seems like we are only having we only have a short time left. But that's something that I do share in the classes.
So I'm sorry, and I interrupted you as you were talking about the course, but I would love if you could leave us this evening with the takeaway, with a practice on how we can use maybe, something that we can use mindfulness to just be the best that we can be. What practice do you want to, or I won't say practice, or what takeaway will you leave us with this evening?
So, well, one thing I do want to stress is that, if this is mindfulness is called a practice for a reason, because it is practice. It's experiential learning, and our lives are the classroom. So you have plenty of opportunities to practice. And just bringing a sense of just general awareness to what is going on, taking the time. It can just be a minute to check in with your breath. That's a simple practice that you can do throughout the day, just to calm yourself, or just, if you have more time, you can sit, for 5 minutes and just notice, like what we did in the centering practice, just the awareness of the breath, bringing that sense of curiosity. But really, I encourage you to learn more and to take more training and take classes to really, really benefit from all that mindfulness has to offer.
I love it. Well, Heather, thank you again so much for coming on WealthyU Wind Down. Our guest this evening was Dr. Heather Alexander. Please go to her website if we could list that again. It's LiveWellMindfully, LiveWellMindfully.com. Learn about her upcoming course. And of course, WealthyU members have privileges. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Again, just a shout out to our new members in our WealthyU community. We welcome you. Make sure you connect with your ambassador. We're excited about our upcoming 5-day Savvy Money Makeover Challenge for 5 evenings. Make sure that you sign up for 5 evenings. We come together, and the challenge is really designed to help you create a portfolio. We're going to teach you how to build a portfolio to 7 figures and beyond. You're going to get access to so much of the concepts that we practice in WealthyU. We have seen some incredible transformations through our Savvy Money Makeover Challenge, and I can't wait to meet so many of you. If you're viewing this from other platforms, again, make sure you either visit WealthyU.com so that you'll get access to all of the information that we have to offer, and again, that you sign up for our WealthyU Challenge at WealthyUChallenge.com. That's going to do it for me this evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on WealthyU Wind Down, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody, for your